I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching accesstv.org.
For coming back and visiting Miss Cleo at Miss Cleo Storytelling Corner. Today, I'm going to repeat a story I told not too long ago. The girl with the incredible feeling. Because I was thinking the other day, where does it start? Does it start in the head? Do you could start thinking, I'm going to have I have this great idea. So then you develop it and all of that. But where does it start? It starts in a feeling. That's where I think. Now, you may think differently, but I think everything starts with a feeling. And then we develop in our heads. Our head catches up to our feeling. That's what I think. That's how Cleo works. So I'm thinking other people work that way too. And I love this story, The Girl with the Incredible Feeling. And I'm going to tell it to you right now, and then we'll talk a little more. The girl had an incredible feeling. The feeling had no name, but it was very faithful, and the girl treated it very well. The feeling made the girl act in incredible ways. It made her dance and sing wonderful songs. It made her laugh at things others fought about. The feeling made nature enormous and wonderful. She saw and heard incredible things. For instance, men with grapes for beards, beatniks. Not all of us remember what a beatnik was, but it was in my day. They were sort of love children. They kind of did their own thing. Beatnik, basset hounds. One friend who always talked and the other friend who always listened. Birds with sunglass eyes. Bank teller penguins. Baby adults. A most unusual shoe. A very curious hat. One day a man came out of the shadow and complimented the girl on her feeling. He said there was great use for it all around the world. And the girl said, wow, my feeling? And he says, yes. Oh, people would love and need your feeling. So thus began a series of unfortunate events. The feeling had to be dressed up and straightened out. Scholars and scientists and politicians tried to explain it and give it a name. People tried to steal the feeling and call it their own. As the girl became more popular and more famous, and she was having so much fun, she kind of neglected the feeling. She forgot the feeling. So the feeling kind of disappeared. At first, she didn't notice it. But soon she began to feel empty inside. She had horrible dreams. She could see right through herself. She couldn't feel anything. Everyone and everything looked and acted the same. The girl trusted no one. She knew she had to find her feeling. The shadow man shouted after her, come back, come back. He tried to bribe her with wonderful gifts, but she kept on walking. He kept tempting her. He told her jokes. He laughed, and she refused to listen and kept on walking. Generous young people offered their feelings to her, but she politely refused and kept on walking. wise men offered amazing facts, but she ignored them and kept on walking. She kept walking and walking until she was right back where she started. And then, after a very long time, beautiful smells, amazing sights, and sounds more incredible than before. And although she was ashamed, she didn't have to apologize or explain. The feeling was back again. I love that story because I think that's how we create our world. If we want the world to change, it starts with our feelings, doesn't it? When like-minded people get together, and boom, you create your own world. Now, when this country was very young, they also had a dream and a feeling of not ever going back to where they came from and making a better world. And they had all kinds of dreams. And they went out and they started making that dream come true. So first I'm going to read you a dream. It's called the Declaration of Independence. The opening lines of the Declaration of Independence provide one of our most important moral anchors. If we truly hold these liberties to be gifts from God, we realize the moral duty to respect, preserve, and defend those rights for others. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the law of nature and of nature's God entitled them. A decent respect to the opinion of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to be separated. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power to such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. The Declaration of Independence. Wow. When I was going to school, I thought, wow, that was so wonderful. And still believe that I lived in the greatest country in the world. And I believed a lot of things about other countries that were not true, that were told to me, and about other people. But I believed in the Declaration of Independence. Now, we're there. Here are these little children learning about their great country. So then as you get older, you learn other things. The next thing that I'm going to be, after we come from commercial, the next thing that I'm going to read to you, and I've done it before, the consciousness of the nation must be roused. Frederick Douglass. So we will be right back after this break to read The Consciousness of a Nation. I'll see you in a moment.
As superintendent of Hartford Public Schools, I want to make sure that every student thrives. We know that a major barrier to school success is missing school. National research shows that students who miss 18 or more days of school are more likely to struggle in school, to not read on grade level, or to drop out of school. Missing 18 days or more of school, regardless of the reason, is called chronic absence. In order to promote daily student attendance, we are recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month, part of a nationwide movement to show that every school day counts. You can help by spreading the message, by ensuring that your students go to school every day, by connecting families to social services that can help them get their children to school, or by volunteering to be a mentor to a student. You have the power to ensure that your child and those in your extended family, those in your neighborhood, and throughout our communities know how important it is to come to school on time every day. Remember, learning happens every day.
When I grow up, I'll be your doctor. I will be a firefighter, or maybe the fire chief.
I'll be a Supreme Court justice.
I'm attorney Jeffrey Dressler. I advocate education. It lasts a lifetime.
And I'm Mayor Pedro Segarra. Be a part of your children's education. Together, we can help our children fulfill their dreams.
From Weathersfield, and I support Mayor Pedro Segarra because we have had the nice opportunity to work together on several projects, and I have a lot of respect for his thinking, his commitment to his community. Kennedy said, you know, success has many fathers. So the city of Hartford is now coming alive again. You're seeing what's happening right down here on Front Street. Things are starting to happen. So when Hartford was struggling along about 10 years ago, it was tough to get people to come out and take leadership. Now he's taking the leadership and bringing the city back. It's starting to see the wave. That's when you see all the people come out and say, okay, I want to be a part of that action. So I'm not surprised, but I think he'll do quite well. I think he'll hold up just fine.
Welcome back to Miss Cleo Storytelling Corner. And right now we're going to read The Consciousness of the Nation Must Be Roused. And you might wonder why I'm kind of putting these things together. I really haven't got a clear picture in my head, but when I put them together, and a lot of other things this week that I put together, I said to myself, wow, where am I? And I did some political things this week, and I thought to myself, wow, I have learned a lot of different things about this country in the many years that I have been alive. And how do I explain these differences and bring them all together for young people? I mean, because it's really hard for even us. And people could break these things apart, and we'll be fighting and pitting ourselves against each other. And we live and love one country. It's not a perfect country. Never has been a perfect country. Matter of fact, It has done some horrendously terrible things. But it's our country now. Since all of us came here from somewhere, except the Native American, and maybe at one time he came from someplace else too, I don't know. So I try to put all these things together and say, how am I going to think of all of this? And how do I explain all of this when a young person comes up to me and he says this, and he's mad about this, and he's mad about this, and he doesn't know about the incredible feeling that you can create your own. And in this country, you can create your own world, your own environment, and live there. So I am going to read you now The Conscience of the Nation Must Be Roused by Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born a slave in 1817 and raised by his grandmother on a Maryland plantation until sent to work at age 8 in Baltimore. There, with the help of his new master's wife, he began to educate himself, an activity forbidden by law. In 1838, he escaped and settled in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and began working for the anti-slavery cause. It was not long before he was the nation's leading Black abolitionist and one of its most brilliant orators. In 1852, having been invited to deliver an Independence Day address in Rochester, New York, Douglass seized the occasion to hold the scorching iron of moral reproach to the nation's conscience. For Douglass and all Black Americans, the 4th of July was not an anniversary on which to rejoice at the rights and freedom conferred by democracy. It was a day of deepest shame for those betraying the most basic moral obligation toward their fellow man. Here is a brave soul holding America accountable for its sins. Fellow citizens, pardon me, allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I or those I represent to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of national justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I therefore called upon to bring our humble offerings to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulted from your independence to us? Would to God, both for your sake and ours, that an affirmative answer could be truthfully returned to these questions. But such is not the state of the case. I say it with a sad sense of disparity between us. I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals that immeasurable distance between us. The blessing in which you, this day, rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. to drag a man in fetters into the grand illuminated temple of liberty and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems were inhuman mockery and sacrilegious irony. Fellow citizens, above your national turbulence, fellow citizens, among your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions whose chains, heavy and grievous yesterday, are today rendered more intolerable by the jubilee shouts that reach them. If I do forget, if I do not faithfully remember those bleeding children of sorrow this day, may my right hand forget her cunning, and may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. I forget them, to pass lightly over their wrongs, and to chime in with the popular theme would be treason, most scandalous and shocking, and would make me a reproach before God and the world. My subject then, fellow citizens, is American slavery. I shall see this day and its popular characteristics from the slave's point of view, standing there identified with the American bondman, making his wrongs mine. I do not hesitate to declare with all my soul that the character and conduct of this nation never looked blacker to me than on the 4th of July. Whether we turn to the declaration of the past or to the professions of the present, the conduct of the nation seems equally hideous and revolting. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future, standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave. On this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity, which is outraged, in the name of liberty, which is fettered, in the name of the Constitution and the Bible, which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call in question and to denounce with all the emphasis I can command everything that serves to perpetuate slavery, the great sin and shame of America. What am I to argue that it is wrong to make men brutes, to rob them of their liberty, to work them without wages, to keep them ignorant of their relations to their fellow men, to beat them with sticks, to flay them their flesh with the lash, to load their limbs with iron, to hunt them with dogs, to sell them at auction, to sunder their families, to knock out their teeth, to burn their flesh, to starve them into obedience and submission to their masters. Must I argue that a system thus marked with blood and stained with pollution is wrong? No, I will not. I have better employment for my time and strength than such arguments would imply. What then remains to be argued? Is it that slavery is not divine, that God did not establish it, that our doctors of divinity are mistaken, There is blasphemy in the thought. That which is inhuman cannot be divine. Who can reason on such a proposition? They that cannot, they that can may, I cannot. The time for such argument is past. At a time like this, scorching iron, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could I reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty and unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impunity. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow and mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parades and solemnity. Excuse me, some words I just can't get out of my mouth. Are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impudence, and hypocrisy. A thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation of savages. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. In that, I did stumble a bit, but say, how do we come together? And we have made great strides, and we need to do much more. And now that slave has a right to vote and has a say in what we do. We have come a long way, and we can create our own world. Just like the girl with the incredible feeling. We are now a powerhouse. And we stand with America as one, as a valuable citizen in America. And all of those years when we had nothing, we could not vote, we were under bondage and oppression. Today, we can vote. Please do not take it lightly. Do not take your vote as though it does not matter, for it truly does. And what would have the slaves had done if they could have voted? They built the country. What would they have done? Well, we could just look back and see that we built a great city, Greenwood in Tulsa, that came to a terrible end. But we have the vote and the power, and we can create, like the little girl with the incredible feeling, the world that we want it to be and the America that we want. As one people, as American people, all of us together will build a great land. No, it is not there yet, but it's coming. So you remember, whenever you have the chance, you listen, you learn, and read the past. Because if you don't read the past, we are probably going to repeat it. So it's time for me to say goodbye. And I hope you enjoyed my stories with my little glitches on Frederick Douglass. But I did my best, and that's all you have to do. Do your best, and it'll come out okay. Look around and see the world in a bright and wonderful light. Create your own world. Create a world that we can all live in and that your children can live in. And remember, you have a responsibility, because we are no longer in that kind of bondage. Vote. Vote. And if you don't like who gets in, well, hell, the next time we work, we create. We set the setting, we vote them out, and vote someone else in and get someone ready to take their place. So see, we are important people in this country. Don't you ever forget that, and don't you let your children forget it. So now I'm going to say goodbye. So you remember, read a little, write a little, dream big. I'll see you next week.